of the industries that I work in is the winery industry. And if any of you have read anything lately on trends within the wine business, they're all negative. So volume is down, distribution's down, consumption is down, um, and the kind of the systemic framework, the three-tier system through which most of that product is sold is terribly outdated. So it's another barrier, it's another source of friction within the industry. But um, we've said for years that the industry would benefit so much from some type of collaborative marketing initiative, and no one's been able to get that to go. You've got small producers, that have tried to collaborate and get something going. You've got trade groups that have tried, and it's not working. When you compare that to other substitute beverages, whether it be carbonated drinks, other alcohol choices. There's now even things like THC drinks,
Yeah.
all of which could be considered substitutes to a nice glass of wine. Um, and the wine industry has done a very poor job of
Mhm.
leveraging that opportunity.
Good stuff. And I'm showing up as an investor for the last 30 plus years, consulting for as many years, coaching businesses for the last 15 plus years. And I started the space that we call Peers on Demand as a way to be able to connect with other offer executives, principal executives of businesses. We do that on a monthly basis, but certainly it's open for people that are willing to participate and join us in discussions. My first invitation is that you might consider joining our community. It's called peersondemand.com. The opportunity to be able to, on a global basis, connect with other leaders and be able to engage in conversations, different experience levels, different locations, mostly North America, different industries. My second invitation is that you might join any of our events. And today we have it for principal executives, and tomorrow we'll have it for CEOs. The key is that you can freely join any event that you feel fits for you as a provider of a service or client of services, or even both. And my third invitation is that you might consider joining our longevity business community. It's a space that we work with clients that are in transition to be able to reassess where they're at, remediate what needs to be taken care of, and get them ready for the funding part, the investment or private equity or exiting the business. And so we do that in multiple ways in that reassessing, starting with human assessments. And Wayne Clancy does really well with that. We have business assessments for finding out the financial health of the business, as organizational development, process improvements, even the marketing assessment. How well are they marketing and showing up? And all companies market. The key is how much funding they're approaching with that. And then we go into uncovering the gaps so that we can remediate that, either through coaching or consulting or training, or even marketing, or looking at developing new processes and be able to plug those gaps so we can get those businesses ready for the next step, whether they want to exit their business or acquire a business or obtain private equity or investments, or in some cases, tokenization of the business to be able to raise capital ongoing. And the key here is that I'm looking for peers that may know of companies in transition that we can work with and involve you in that as well, so that we can have a full process of reassessing, remediating, and getting you ready for funding. So that's my focus and introduction. Let's hear from Matt Folk. Matt, I wonder if you could say more. You're involved in AI on a global basis. I wonder if you could say more about it. What are the big ideas in your business or your industry that we should be aware of?
Yeah, yeah. Going back to what I said earlier, uh, is I think the big idea is that we gotta be leverage every dollar of marketing budget and translate to a profit center, and that's a big idea. Most people waste money on online ads. Uh, we've done a study. There are over $1 trillion on online ad. If you just allocate 5% and build up your smart community and become a profit center, you actually turn every expense, dollar digital marketing expense into a profit center. And at the same time, to supercharge your conversion rate because you build trust by promoting your customer and partners. And that is a big idea. I just I've been posting multiple newsletter articles on that. And by bundling with that, we actually give away AI application and AI bootcamp along the way. Right now, we're working with several major organizations, like I mentioned earlier. The healthcare side, we're going to be working with the second largest neurology medical center, helping bring over $150 doctors into the platform and create a patient education portal and shifting all these money wasted by pharmaceutical, 2 billions annually. Imagine you take 10% of that and build up your community, patient education, providing valuable quality content instead of just bombarding you. And that's the big idea. And that framework you can apply to every vertical niche, clean tech, you name it. So that's huge potential. We're working with telecom and many others, AI data centers, many, the list goes on. So, and this is the opportunity that we're looking for really decisive leaders to and make the bold move right now. Otherwise, your competitors would take over.
Excellent. Thanks for that, man. Appreciate it. You mentioned healthcare because I think Mark is involved in some of that healthcare aspect. Do you want to say more about how they receive the benefits or what benefits do they receive by
Well,
working?
it's very simple, right? We provide a platform, provide them a what called patient education community where we bring doctors
Yeah.
and patient together, and then help local health community. Uh, you know, taking every dollar spent from all these pharmaceutical or whatever, instead of wasting money on online ad, now you have a captive audience providing valuable education content and engagement. That's the key.
Yeah.
Forget about ads. That is old school. It's gonna be dead. Okay. I mean, well, you know that already. Google is losing money on that ad, right? And next one would be Facebook. So the bottom line is everything has changed. AI has totally disrupted every industry, including online ad.
Mm.
So so
Mm.
think about it from a community perspective, right? You have a platform where you can bring patients together, every stakeholders, which could be the health and wellness and many others, and participate, and then also learn some valuable content, not just ads. See, that's the key.
Yeah, yeah. I got a question because this is
Yeah.
really interesting. I mean, I definitely, get the idea of trying to bring together
Hmm.
people who are like, I guess you mentioned like urologists, right? People who are like going
Right.
after the same consumer in a way, but not competitive, or maybe a little bit competitive, but everybody benefits. Like
Or
when you get all the
complementary.
jewelry, or
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
all the jewelry shops on one block. But the
Yeah.
whole idea of using content, that's going to be found, SEO. What
Yeah.
I'm interested in, because that all makes sense, and even in ecosystem, like I've got my backpack product, right? So I've been thinking this idea
Yeah.
for years. Like the wine shop can help the cheese
You.
shop reach the same
Yes.
kind of cross marketing between companies that have different
You
services
got
that are
it.
going after the same concern. They can all
Yes.
help each other
Yes.
rise the tide for
Yes.
everybody. I could partner with
Yeah.
my friend helmet guy
You
for my
just
friends.
you just nailed the whole ecosystem for your business.
I've been trying to design that in a way like this kind of.
Well,
I've
it's
thought of
already done.
collaborative. Well, we'll talk more like collaborative marketing. Collaborative
This is
marketing. But
to make it.
how is AI changing it too? Go ahead and tell me what you're about to say.
Yeah,
But
okay.
also,
No, I
how
don't
is
want
like
to.
how
I
is
don't want to.
AI?
Yeah. So the AI changed the formula by providing the 10x or 100x by giving you the AI social media agent. So every exhibitor can leverage that and blast it out. So that's it's like an influencer. Imagine every exhibitor can be your influencer because they are going to promote your event together, not by yourself. That's the key difference. And then the AI will magnify that, amplify that
Yeah.
10x or 100x.
So and the AI part is helping because it's always been like there's always been the SEO, right? It sounds like it's
Yeah,
going next level.
yeah.
Is that because both the content, the first part, I'm not sure I fully
Well, we do
understood,
both.
but
We do both.
is it also the search is more efficient, so the
Yeah, yeah.
content is
We
having
do
even
both.
more value?
Yeah. So instead of one company, your organizer do all the heavy lifting,
Yeah.
that's a big change. Now you got 10, 20 companies or whatever companies in your community doing this heavy lifting together with you. That's the
Right.
big change.
I see. So
Because everyone
you're all
minds,
kind of working to drive traffic
yeah,
to
that's
the
that's a big, I've been talking to many companies, SMB, and a lot of people are still stuck in the silo market,
right,
solo marketing,
right.
which is outdated, obsolete. It's not gonna sustainable.
Yeah.
This is the AI ecosystem network marketing.
Okay. Well,
Everyone wins. That's the
yeah.
key.
Yeah. Have you written anything up about this
It's
that's
on my newsletter. I just share. Yeah,
oh, that's great.
I
You
got
shared.
400
Oh, I see.
articles there.
Oh, that's great. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to check it out, read it more, and think
We'll
about
be
getting
we'll
more.
be launching our first ebook.
Nice.
Hopefully next
Cool.
2 months.
I'm looking forward to your, getting it
We
unpacked.
got AI bootcamp as well. We're
Nice.
actually starting last week. Yeah.
Good for you. No, it makes a lot of sense that companies can definitely all work together. It's more fun that way. You spread your investment to raise the tide for all
Yeah.
boats.
I mean, look at the banner, right? This is from Forrester Research, and 75% of B2B executives are investing in ecosystem.
Yeah.
That's it. Not just me talking.
I-
It's
I've been
everybody
thinking a
talking.
lot about this with health apps, by the way. So I want to think about that, like, because you have all these different health apps that are trying to get to the right people. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, connect with me and book a meeting. We can have a ongoing discussion. Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is like anything else. Everyone's mindset is short-sighted. It's like they want now. They want everything now. Well, you know that it's not community or any network ecosystem not going to happen overnight. But if you don't do it, if you don't start, it will never happen. That's it's like a weight loss. I want to lose 50 pounds. Well, you got to start to lose 1 pound first, right?
That's right.
Well,
That's right.
part of that too is they've got so much coming at them that there is so much
Yeah,
overwhelm because,
yeah,
in our research, we do mental health and well-being and things
yeah,
like I wake up in the morning really feeling refreshed. I have energy left at the end of the
yeah.
day. We measure all of these things and the people who are not connecting with other human beings, their
Uh-huh.
well-being and wellness is far worse than people who are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
helping organizations understand that. And, we went through that period where everybody wanted to work remotely. Why? Well, they
Yeah.
could save 2 hours a day and save themselves $300 a month in travel. But those were not the right reasons because productivity, mental health. I mean, there were people who didn't see another human for a year during the COVID times. Like, not actually, they could get everything delivered. They work remotely, and they stayed in their apartment and they didn't go anywhere. I
Yeah.
mean, and that is not part of what humans are all about. So it's interesting now where we're going into this shift where we got to make AI as something that is complementary and helpful and not this thing that is dangerous to people either. Because people get that kind of concept on it and not understanding and not having the simplicity, what you guys were talking about, can be very overwhelming for people who don't. And there's 800 different definitions of AI out there right now too, which is part of the problem. You got a lot of companies claiming to be in it that aren't.
Well, thanks for
Yeah,
that,
I
Wayne.
totally agree.
Appreciate it. So, well, let's hear from Mark Dingle. Mark, you're in multiple areas. I consider you an inventor, but also you're in insurance. You're also in healthcare. I
Yeah.
wonder if you could share more. What are the big ideas in your business, big ideas in your industry that you'd like to share with us? Mark Dingle.
Yeah, it's great to meet you. And Wayne Clancy, you're in Toronto, I think. Just right, if you're the one that's in Toronto on LinkedIn.
I am.
Yeah, that's great. I can also hear by your accent. My brother lives in Toronto on Balmoral Avenue. So, no, I appreciate how you're thinking about AI. And yeah, the isolation was terrible. People, mental health. A niece of mine was at McGill. Won't get into that now, but she was really just like for the youth, especially, just so much damage. Yeah,
Oh,
we
it's
got to make.
huge.
Yeah, no,
Well,
it's
you think about where did we get most of our career ideations
yeah,
was actually
people.
connecting with people
I
and
know.
the isolation with a lot of our younger people. And that's where
Yeah,
I think we can help them get out in front, but us telling them doesn't work. Getting them to contribute and be a part of it,
yeah,
then encourage that kind of change will actually get them in. But that, oh no, you young people, you got to get to, no, no, and
yeah,
it's that other generational stuff. And we do a
totally.
lot intergenerational understanding where we can show that they actually agree on 95 out of 100 things. And it blows the different generations, like the younger ones and the older ones too, because they get so stuck all the time. Oh, we agree on that much? Okay. And it changes because a lot of those young people, and then the old people, they don't think anything new. And unfortunately, there's this huge amount of division that it's occurred emotionally within people's minds and in other areas of diversity as well. So it's pretty fascinating out there.
Yeah, I think, I just went on a tangent on the message board and I'll get to my sort of like big ideas, but I've also took a course. I became a certified career counselor. I think, related to mental health is you're touching on career, health and mental health. There's like a big overlap on that Venn diagram. And, and if you have a work that gives you purpose, where you're connecting with other people, where you're able to, make money to support yourself, it's just like such a big part, I think, of the intertwined with mental health is just how your kind of career is going for you. I think we've all seen that at times, when it's going well for us and things are
Yeah.
clicking and things are not. So that's an area of real interest and why I created this site called Clarivise. We've coached a few students. I'll be talking to my nephew later on, who's at Berkeley, senior. He thinks, but I think, I'm very interested in healthcare. I'm interested, again, I've worked for a couple companies that are all about using your health data and your analytics, and analytics to help you understand and manage your health better. One of them is called Guava Health. But what I'm thinking is that, one thing I've noticed is to your point about collaborative marketing is you've got all these different, kind of health apps, and a lot of them are chasing after the same health systems. So like not just B2C, but B2B. I've always been interested in worked in how can you create alliances between companies that are sort of going after the same market or the same target, like partners, like healthcare providers. But why is everybody trying to do it alone? Like I just met a friend of mine at a Cornell Tech conference here on Roosevelt Island in New York, and he's working on conch sleep to make getting a CPAP and the whole diagnosis and getting support for CPAP much more efficient. That's called conch health. Check it out if you have any ideas. And I'm like, he's trying to do what everyone, we're all trying to everyone's doing. So maybe there's like a role for a value added reseller, seller, almost a distributor, right? That has, Matt, the elements of a sort of a collaborative thing, collaborative in the sense that different companies are coming together to form more of a presence and to connect with their customers and customer better. I've noticed again with my own business, Ventapack, that, again, it's also very lonely, right? Sometimes to be like a solopreneur, like I've been doing everything, and it's not, I love the product. I love people using this all around the world. Japan's our biggest market, but it's also like just a grind. And so if I want to find either other people to join my team or find other companies that I can partner with, I mean, like why a bigger company would just say this is a great product. Why we'll take this thing to the races. You work with us. You've got a company, you've got a corporate home, a community, and then we'll sort of like do an earn out buyout. So it's an area that I haven't figured out yet, but I'm trying to see how I can do that next level with other people and other companies even. And then last thing I'll say is one example of like, again, this kind of ecosystem partnering working really well that I'm seeing is an insurtech that I'm involved with called EOI Exchange. I'll type it in, EOI Exchange.
Can you
That's what I was
type in
talking.
the last one that you mentioned before as
Yeah,
well?
I'll mention that
Oh,
too.
along
Guava
with,
Health is, these are all my LinkedIn, eoiexchange.com. Oh, and then there's Conch Health, Conch Health. Uh, my fraternity brother from Cornell, Dr. Doug Crone. That's an interesting company, and he'll be raising some money. Um, and then what I'm thinking there again is like, I saw it with sorry, with the yes, the InsurTech one. It's like what's great about that is we've got a sort of a sort of a way of getting all basically a e-app and ability to kind of like get somebody to fill out, answer questions, and then about that are related to life insurance. And then what we've partnered with Swiss Reinsurance, which has like the leading digital underwriting engine that's used in the insurance industry. Swiss is a huge global reinsurer. So we can partner with them to bring that capability into our like kind of like our tech stack, our component map. Um, there's us that has we have a relationship with a company called GIS Benefits. That's a big broker of like voluntary benefits into the employer market. So those guys really notice again, even more the pain point of how it can be really hard to get your insurance in America, life insurance at your corporation. You want to get higher levels of coverage. You have to do like lab results, and there's just timing issues if you do get approved, payroll deductions. So GIS, Swiss, EOI Exchange, and we've just been partnered with another company that has like the leading really doing great work in like taking people's health data, their wealth data, and demographic data, and being like guiding them towards the products that they should get, like accidental, reimbursement insurance or all kinds of health products now, but they'll go into insurance. So that's like a front end. They're in with a lot of carriers, they're in with a lot of companies, and they're integrated with all the HRIS systems. So for us, that helps us get like all this front end of the process, right? Like what life insurance do you need? You should get like a $2 million product. Here's the one from MetLife that makes sense. And now, they generate the sort of the top of the funnel demand, and we can like be like, okay, now we can help you get approved for this very quickly, like, instant decision up to $2 million, say, of life insurance, and just take a lot of the friction like Amazon does, and even create a marketplace of these products that people are guided to with this company called Naya that we're partnering with. So that's just, I guess I just all those are I think and I've been even thinking with career coaching, the Claravise site I mentioned, like why not get like 5 or 6 career coaches, to your example, Matt, of like urologists or people that focus on youth or people like that are older trying to make a transition. I don't know if you guys have heard a book called The Second Mountain, which is pretty good by Adam Brooks, I think it is, or Peter Brooks, just about how people, in their sort of, I'm in my late 50s, think about your career. So maybe for coaches, right? For coaches or career counselors, why not have them sort of join up? They'd have different maybe specialties, rates, and all try to publish content and sort of get more known by the power of, being collaborating and being together versus silo. That's
Yeah.
just a big dump
I'm
on you
so
guys.
I'm so aligned with you, Mark, because some of our research too, and we use something so simple too. It's how do we focus on prevention rather than just treatment? Because the money is in the treatment,
Yeah.
not the prevention,
Yeah.
right?
And
And
then
unfortunately,
in Canada also.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, no. We got we have a free yes. No, not exactly the same system. We have some problems in that too.
Yeah.
We're less than the US by far,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because our systems are really not designed that way at all.
Right.
But the mentality around treatment and all the drugs with the drug companies and the money to treat things
Yeah.
and not help people get out in front and prevent it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
we've worked with organizations too, where organizations who help support that prevention thought with their employees actually have higher engagement
Yeah.
and are able to keep
Yeah.
talent longer
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
employees appreciate that type
Yeah.
of environment, right?
Yeah. When you care about
Well,
your employees staying well.
and the well-being goes beyond just the physical. It's the emotional side with
Yeah.
the measurements that we have around humanity, which is how people treat each other, and we could measure that and the
Yeah.
impact that that has on the requirements and physical and mental problems is so significant because people don't think of the tie-in together.
Yeah.
It's the opportunity is just massive.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, I totally will. things to talk
Mark,
about maybe.
Mark, you got the blueprint of the ecosystem network all together. I send you
Yeah.
my
That'd be great.
calendar. So
Yeah, again, I've been definitely ruminating a bit around the whole kind of coaching space and for helping young people with their careers because they certainly can use it even more now, right? With all the change and
yeah,
uncertainty. People in their 20s, too. I know
yeah,
when I was young, I was trying to figure out what to do. I see plenty of examples like my brother's nephew-in-law. I'm talking Quinn Fahey, like he's trying to
yeah.
figure
I
out.
mean, the latest data is that the entry level job it's pretty much gone. So there's been high unemployment rate for young adults just graduating from college, and that's a huge problem
Yeah,
right
I have a
now.
son, by the way, who's a senior at BU too. God knows what he's going to do when he graduates, but I feel this personally as well. He's
Yeah,
trying to figure that
so
out still.
that's exactly why I launched the AI bootcamp
Okay.
for non-tech folks, and also partnering helping nonprofit as well.
You're involved as a fractional CFO, raising capital, being able to focus not just on finance, but also with businesses. Keith, are there big ideas in your business or your industry that would be able to share with us?
Well, one that has come to mind is this idea of collaborative marketing. One of the industries that I work in is the winery industry. And if any of you have read anything lately on trends within the wine business, they're all negative. So volume is down, distribution's down, consumption is down, um, and the kind of the systemic framework, the three-tier system through which most of that product is sold is terribly outdated. So it's another barrier, it's another source of friction within the industry. But we've said for years that the industry would benefit so much from some type of collaborative marketing initiative, and no one's been able to get that to go. You've got small producers, that have tried to collaborate and get something going. You've got trade groups that have tried, and it's not working. When you compare that to other substitute beverages, whether it be carbonated drinks, other alcohol choices. There's now even things like THC drinks,
Yeah.
all of which could be considered substitutes to a nice glass of wine. Um, and the wine industry has done a very poor job of
Mhm.
leveraging that opportunity. Um, so Matt, when you started talking about that, that's initially right away where my mind went. So I guess I'll ask,
Yeah.
how would you attack the opportunity with an industry that is disparate, disconnected, and so far demonstrates no interest
Yeah.
in doing that?
And in fact, it's kind of funny you mentioned that. We did talk to quite a few players in that space. Um, I think the biggest challenge is their mindset. They're stuck with the solo marketing mindset. They cannot get out.
Well, they feel
There are-
like if every bottle I sell is one that you didn't sell, and every bottle you sell is one that I didn't sell,
Yeah.
and so it's a fixed sum game in their mind, and
and
that's just not the case.
they forget about the ecosystem that can provide. Give you an example, right? Let's say a company, a wine industry, if they can partner with local hospitality, whatever organizations or events that can bring in multiple influencers and bring more qualified leads and help them to get more referrals and have a sort of a subscription model as well. So there's so many opportunity. They're just missing out big time, big time. So I think it's the mindset challenge in the head. And they now is AI. AI is going to disrupt all those industries in a matter of seconds or minutes. This thing is, like I said many times to many companies, AI does not wait for you. You don't move, your competitors will move, and then you will be the next one on the to go down, right? I mean, this is what it is. I mean, think about all these companies, Nvidia, OpenAI, Oracle. They're moving so fast.
Yeah.
Nvidia made 7 deals with trillions of dollars in 1 week. They
I
know
think
what's coming.
part of the problem is that I think everybody believes what you just said. I don't think anybody understands exactly how it's going to happen and what the consequences will be. So you can just say, well, AI is going to disrupt your business. And I can believe that, but I don't until I understand exactly how, it's difficult for that to be something that I can then respond to or take action on.
Right.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
one.
a
That's one
response.
value of the collaboration right there. In a way, is just to understand, like knowledge sharing, best practices, like what the hell is going on in the wine industry. Let's all learn together, and
Yeah.
that might be the first step in a way that's easier before you do something. Is to learn together.
Yeah.
And maybe even before that is some type of education or training or even just
Something.
setting
That's
context
what. Yeah. Yeah.
to
Absolutely right.
understand here's
Yeah.
the context that you're not seeing
Right. And this
and
is. Yeah.
here's the risk that you're at risk for this now and you don't even see it.
Right. Yeah. So
Well,
this is exactly why we started the AI boot camp for everybody. So.
really, with the wine industry, as every other industry, they are stuck because they don't have any more clients, higher competition. Here's what's going to shift that tremendously. It's going to shift a lot of businesses dramatically over the next 5 years, even by 2030. By 2030, it's estimated that 5 to 20% of all real world assets are going to be tokenized. So let's take the wine industry. What if, like Mark said, you have a collaboration and then you tokenize that industry? In other words, you sell tokens for them to participate, not just drink the wine, but be an owner of the wine. All of a sudden, you've shifted from a consumer to an ownership position instantly. And not only that, the wine industry or whoever handles that can generate capital because they're getting people that are buying the tokens.
Yeah.
And the consumers are also feeling a certain level of pride and making money. When you tie drinking to making money, when you tie it to anything else, getting smarter, getting healthier, making more money, that connection, that correlation, all of a sudden will spark it up. I'm surprised that
Well, I think it's
many
going
more are
on.
not doing that.
Yeah, I got to imagine. I just did a quick search, and it just makes so much sense. Is that you're taking those stores of like scotch or wine or whatever, and I imagine there's a lot of activity in that space, and companies should be aware of what's going on and thinking about it. To your point,
Well, not only do you move it from a localized region, or maybe even by nation, you bring it to a global. That is huge. When 8 billion people can participate in buying a tokenization or ownership in that, all of a sudden you've expanded the reach and potentially the client base. So I would think that that would be something to explore, especially Keith, with your background in finance. In fact, I'd love to be able to have a conversation with you on that because I'm focusing more on the tokenization of real world assets. And the numbers have shifted, but if you take just 5% of what the projected 20%, 5% of global real world assets is $50 trillion out of a marketplace of 900 trillion apparent in the world. And right now I'm working with a client that wants to tokenize gold that's still in the ground to be able to fund it, to be able to take the gold out
Mm.
and bring it out.
Yep.
So that discussion is going to continue to grow. What makes it challenging is the complexity of it. But that's something that we're trying to make it a little bit better. Certainly, Keith, love to be able to have a conversation with you on this if that's of interest.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. And I think this goes again kind of back to a collaborative marketing message where the initial stage is around education and context setting. What does tokenization mean? I mean, less than 1% of the population probably truly understands that right now. But if your context includes blockchain, other cryptocurrencies, differentiating among those, how different Bitcoin is from Ethereum to stablecoins, all of that context enables you to then naturally learn about tokenization and get very comfortable with it very quickly. I think you're right, Rocky. It's a huge opportunity. I'm also in the real estate business, so I own a number of apartment complexes here in New Orleans, and I could easily see a future where the tokenization of real estate completely changes how we place value on these assets.
Yeah, real estate's the one that's really taken a direction with that because it's real world assets. And of course, it's investing in a building, whether it's a commercial, residential. I think it doesn't matter anymore. What I'm starting to uncover is that you can have it on just about anything that has value. It could be intellectual property. It could be the wine or those things. So that's that's going to open up a lot of different things. And I think the audience doesn't have to understand what a token is. I think it's a marketing challenge to make it easier for people to just become an owner by putting in $100 or $200 or whatever they can afford and be able to legitimately have a certificate of ownership. That I think is globally changing. And if it is 5 to 20% of the real world assets in the world in 5 years, that's rapid acceptance. But let's hear from Wayne Clancy. Wayne's involved out of beautiful Toronto with the ability to not just assess human emotional intelligence, but also augmented intelligence. So Wayne, maybe you could share big ideas in your business or industry that we should know.
Um, Simplifying that with the kind of mind I have and everyone else here does is always the challenge part, isn't it? Um, but I think the big opportunity moving forward is in this, we've kind of touched on it already, is in this movement away from humanity and the connection and the connectivity that people have. And a few years ago, I did some work, and Arizona State University, everybody's aware of their reputation as being the most innovative university in the US, was Stanford number two, MIT number three, and I think it's been 7 or 8 years now in a row. A number of years ago, they reached out to me because they had heard about some research that we had done, and they had identified that they were turning out a lot of students who were less socially responsible than the ones they were getting. So they were taking nice kids, turning them into jerks to get financial outcomes. And and they were worried about that because of the cognitive conditioning that was occurring. And a lot of parents would pay 80 grand a year, so it was a challenge for them to send their kids there to have them dehumanized to a certain degree to come back and make the family more money because they had gone through that before, and they had had some of that humanity stripped out of them as well. And I know that sounds it's very ASU-ish, and but they had heard about some research work we had done on cognitive conditioning. And years ago, I had some clients, and this is well before the blue zones and everything else. It's like 20 years ago. I had some clients that were doing all the right things, but were not improving. And I backed away one day and I said, "Are we trying to get blood from a stone here? Is there capacity for further engagement and things, right?" And I ended up working with two university students, and we found a border town in Israel where people were living happy, healthy, productive lives well into their 90s, even though they were under a threat of death every day. You know, the planes and everything were flying over. It was a very, very stressful area. And they ate more healthy. That was number one. Number two, though, was that they recognized between birth and roughly 10 years of age, our brains are physically forming. And between roughly 10 and 21, our brains are emotionally forming. And they did zero indoctrinations with their young people through that 10-year period while the brains were emotionally forming. Even though it was highly religious, highly political environment, the kids were not indoctrinated into it at all. They were told there's seven major religions in the world, and this is the base, and that was it. They weren't taken out to any of the programs, nothing, zero. They were allowed to develop their minds around the family and the community and working with other people, not around these other constructs. And they felt that that was the single biggest reason for the longevity of the people within there because they hadn't been, because the human judgmental side will always fight that stuff, right? So it was really fascinating. So in this cognitive conditioning, and you think now, I mean, we're into 4 generations of very serious cognitive conditioning in North America on political. If you're a Democrat, those Republicans are all, and if you're a Republican, those Democrats are all. And these kids will pass a lie detector test, and they're brought up in those areas, and also others will as well. And even though it's not, and we've done research where one of the questions we ask in our system is, are you mainly Republican, mainly Democrat in a lot of programs? And I'll speak at conferences, and I spoke at quite a few stateside there, and I'd say, hey, I'm Wayne from Canada, and I just love it here, but I keep hearing about how divided you are, and I'm here to ask you, divided as you think you are. And then I show them their data on our system that shows Democrat, Republican, the scoring system on it, and I say, you actually agree on 95 out of 100 things. And it completely blows people's mind because the focus is on the 5 differences, not the 95 similarities. When we do work with organizations, we used to, hey, here's your problems. Oh my God, everybody get buried. I flipped that a few years ago. We have what we call a priorities report, which shows you your highest scoring and lowest scoring elements. And I flipped it, and I had it was always the bad ones first, and everybody got into it. I had my tech guys flip it, and the good would come up first. And I'd say, here's some things you're doing really well. Isn't this cool? Let's celebrate. Yay. And then here's some things you need to work on. And it changed completely the whole context of the way the discussions would happen, right? So, that was a big part of it. And while I was there, I was introduced to this guy who was running this thing called Project Humanities, which is make the world a better place and a bit activism based and things. And I go to see him because I was interested in hearing his story. And he's buried in the basement of a building. And ASU is a big, beautiful university. He's buried in the basement. And we're crowded around this little room, and he's telling me about the project. And I loved his intent and his desire and everything. And I said, Neil, I said, why are you in the basement? This is such an important project. I believe in frank conversations. He says, well, because you can't measure humanity. It's only the disciplines you can measure that get funding, like engineering and business and stuff, right? And when you think about it, it's true. They don't have the same level of funding. And so I literally went away that day, and I researched our systems. I have access to some best-selling authors like Brian Tracy and John King and some others. I talked to them briefly, and I looked at Aristotle, Socrates, and I isolated 14 or 12 constructs of humanity, the main components of it. I modernized the language, and I built it into our model, and we started measuring it, which really is how people treat each other. And 100% of the companies in the initial test run of this that had a high humanity score were making more money.
Mm, mm.
So I'm on a bit of a personal mission at this point in my life. I'm a little older than you, Mark. To create a business case for humanity, so we can get it as this is a benefit, this is a value, this is something that will help our business attract talent. So those sociopaths who have been conditioned out of this won't look at it as an expense. They'll look at it as an investment and help support it in different ways.
That's really interesting. If I can just quickly jump in, I just think I've worked at so many different companies over my career, from like Morgan Stanley Equity Research, and the culture there so different from a company like Viant, which was a Kleiner Perkins backed internet consulting company in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And I've just seen a lot of corporate cultures. I was at IBM when IBM was getting decimated in the early 90s, that you'll
Yeah.
remember, Wayne,
Oh yeah.
including I think up in
I
Canada.
remember all those cycles. We actually did research work with IBM, and some of their scores were the lowest ever.
It was like who wants to stay at a company like that? Plus, I was in Binghamton, New York, which is a crazy place to go if you've been at Cornell and in Ithaca. Like, why would you work in Binghamton? Anyway, but no, I'd love to connect with you and find out more about your work. I think it's really, and I also invested in a company called Imperative, which was Imperative. There's a guy named Aaron Hurst, very forward thinking. Like, let's help people understand purpose, get peer-to-peer coaching within companies so people can help each other, in that respect and aligning what makes them happy with what they're doing at their work. Um, yeah, I think it's great that you've been able to show that companies that do well with like, doing well for each other and caring about each other and caring about the team, all the things. I mean, that they actually do better. Those are companies that are doing better, and it's not just because they have more money to invest in those programs. I'm sure you've seen it's causal. It's part of their success, how they've gotten things done, right?
Well, and it's what true leadership is and where we're going.
Yeah,
Because, a true leader, like if you have somebody leading you on a hike, you don't want to follow them the whole hike. You want them to get you to the top, get out of your way, and let you go and experience things, right?
yep, yep,
Our leadership theories now are so much about follow me and I'll tell you what to do, which really is management when you think about it,
yeah, yeah,
right? It's not true leadership. And, with the work I've done, it's the leaders who help enable the kinds of environments and then get the hell out of the way
yeah,
is what it's all about. And leadership is, it's not management.
totally.
Management is going away because, 100 years ago, we went from agricultural age into the industrial age. And it was basically because, World War One, World War Two, and we developed the military constructs of reporting, vertical. You report here,
Yeah,
shut up and do what
and
you're told, right?
control. Yeah,
And we built that into our industrial systems and our business systems. And for the last 100 years, we've had that hierarchy. Flash forward 100 years, AI digital is coming out, and we're moving from vertical to horizontal, where now people need to be accountable to each other and
right.
want to be. And you look at, Bayer, I think, laying off 10,000 managers and all that. That's going to continue to accelerate, but we need the tools that
Yeah,
enable people
yeah,
to
yeah,
enable each other. And the kinds of outcomes are going to be amazing.
yeah. No, it's cool. That's why I was interested in Imperative.
Off, I certainly want to invite you to join us in a month. We do this on a monthly basis, but you don't have to wait a month. Tomorrow we have it for CEOs that you're certainly welcome to join and participate. And the opportunity, of course, is to be able to work with each other and be able to participate. Also, too, if you know of a company that's in transition, certainly want to be able to work with you so that we could work with them to help them not only reassess where they're at, but also remediate when this needs to be taken care of. And getting them ready for the money part, the funding part, wherever that may fit the best. So